The 2021 Iowa High School Tech Summit presented by Principal is ready to begin. Now please welcome President of the Technology Association of Iowa, Brian Waller.
Well, good morning and welcome to the 2021 Iowa High School Technology Summit presented by Principal Financial Group. I'm Brian Waller, President of the Technology Association of Iowa. Now, if there is one takeaway from today's event for you watching, is that there is a job for you waiting in the Iowa technology industry. And we hope today displays that. Now, before we get started, please join me in recognizing this year's summit sponsors: Principal Financial Group, Workiva, Facebook, Bow and Arrow Communications, Google, Shazam, Carrier Access, and Okta. Now, today's summit will begin with a young tech professional panel who will walk you through what it's like to launch a tech career here in Iowa. We will then hear presentations from Facebook's Engineer of the Week participants. We'll then head into breakout sessions with Iowa tech companies. There are lots and lots of Iowa tech companies in real time that want to interact with you about their companies and their jobs. You are welcome to jump in and out as many breakout sessions as you want using the Zoom links found on this page below this live stream feed. After the tech company breakout sessions, we'll move right into the academic breakout sessions. Similar to the previous breakouts, there are lots of colleges and universities that want to talk to you about starting your career path into the Iowa technology industry. You can visit and interact with as many as in the academic breakout sessions as you would like using the Zoom links found below this live feed. Following the academic breakout sessions, we'll wrap up the summit. Now, kicking off today's event is Kathy Kay, Senior Vice President and Chief Information Officer at Principal Financial Group.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Technology Association of Iowa's 2021 High School Tech Summit. I'm Kathy Kay. I'm the Chief Information Officer of Principal Financial Group, and I'm proud to be a part of Principal and the sponsor for this event. We have had a long partnership with TAI, and the reason is because the tech community in Iowa is really important. In fact, Principal employs over 3,000 technical roles across our company globally. And so having TAI really encourage and support technology roles across our state is really important. So we are glad to partner in many ways with TAI. In fact, I am a board member of TAI and proud to be serving in that role. As I mentioned, we have a lot of roles across Principal that are really considered technical roles. Architects, as an example, software engineers, cyber engineers. And you're going to hear a lot about different roles today. And so I encourage you to listen, be curious, and really think about different ways that you might be able to be a part of a technology career. There are many opportunities. I have been in several different industries in all different kinds of roles. And in all cases, just like today, the demand for people to fill roles is always greater. And so you will find, should you ever have a career in technology, that you will always find the opportunity to get a new role and to do different things. We also use many technologies across Principal, just like other companies. And so if you like to learn new things, if you like to look at different technologies, a technology career would be right up your alley, because that's something that is constantly changing. When I think about when I first got out of school with my computer science degree and what I learned versus the way technology has evolved, I never imagined that it would be like this. And so it's been wonderful constantly learning new things. So if you like change, you like fast paced, technology careers are certainly for you. So I'd like to share a little bit about what you're going to hear today. You're going to hear from young professionals on a panel early in their career. You're also going to get an in-depth look at Engineer of the Week program. And you're also going to have an opportunity to meet with Iowa technology representatives and Iowa technology academic institutions that inspire technology careers. So remember, pay attention, listen, be curious, and be engaged. It's an opportunity for you to learn a lot. I hope this day really sparks your curiosity in a technical career. I hope that you find opportunities that you hadn't thought of. There's so many different roles, different industries, as I mentioned, data and analytics. You hear about artificial intelligence. Every company needs technology now. I think that's something we all learned in the pandemic, that without technology, it would have been hard to do a lot of the things that we've had to do this year. So I hope you enjoyed the day, make the most of it, and thanks for attending.
Thank you, Kathy Kay and Principal Financial Group, for being the presenting sponsor of the Iowa High School Tech Summit. So once again, there is a place for you someday in the Iowa technology industry. So let's get your journey started. I'm proud to introduce your host for today, TAI's Director of Marketing, Cassandra Kotek. Cassandra?
Thanks, Brian. Welcome, everyone. We're so excited you're tuned in to the Iowa High School Tech Summit presented by Principal. Please join me in welcoming our Young Tech Professional panel, along with our moderator, Justin Surensey, reporter at WHO TV. Justin, I'll turn it to you.
All right, Cassandra, thank you so much. As Cassandra said, my name is Justin Surensey. I'm a reporter and anchor at WHL 13 News right here in Des Moines, Iowa. Extremely thrilled to be a part of this panel. It's such a wonderful opportunity for a lot of students out there to meet some of these young professionals that I'm about to introduce you to. But I just want to let all of you know, the students at this time, probably wondering what your future career is going to look like. It's okay, you have time. Some of these panelists were just like you in a classroom just a few years ago. So things can happen fast, and a lot of opportunity and excitement as well. Just want to let you know the first step that you've created is already a big one. That's just being here, a part of this summit, and being curious and wanting to know what's out there. There's a lot of things you could be doing right now, but you're here at this summit getting ready to learn some exciting things. So let's start off with this panel. I hope that all of you that are listening can gain some insight into what your future looks like in a tech career, and hopefully right here in the state of Iowa. So panelists, what I want you to do, we're going to start with each of you. Just want you to introduce yourselves. I want you to let everyone know where you went to high school, where you went to college, what you majored in at college, what your current career is, where the business is where it's located, and then what your current title is as well. We'll go one by one. We'll start with you, Andy.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, I'm Andy Han. I am a technology development associate at Walmart Blue Cross and Blue Shield. I am originally from Chicago suburbs, Illinois. It's called Northbrook, Illinois, and I went to Glenbrook North High School. And after that, I went to college in St. Paul, Minnesota, called McAllister College, where I studied computer science and philosophy. So excited to be here.
All right, next up we'll do Sureka. How about you? Let's start with you. Introduce yourself. I'm glad you're here.
Hello, I'm glad to be here too. I'm Sureka Purushothaman. I am a security engineer working for Meredith Corporation, and I did my schooling in undergrad back in India, and with major in network and electronics. And while I was in undergrad, I was deeply interested in networking field, which then expanded to security, and that is why I furthered my master's in University of Illinois Chicago. After which I got a job in Meredith as a security engineer. So I work for application and cloud security team, and which works predominantly in securing the applications and run and maintenance of different applications with perspective to security. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
And then next, Jessica.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Brown. I went to high school here in Iowa, actually, at West Des Moines Valley High School, and then followed that by going to the University of Iowa, where I majored in computer science and engineering. Right before my last year, I started interning at Principal Financial, and then that rolled over into a full-time position where I am now. So I've had two positions, software engineer, Java developer, and I'm currently a software engineer working in infrastructure.
All right, wonderful. Great meeting, all three of you. And let's stick with Jessica. Jessica, you mentioned you're at Principal. Let everyone know kind of what a typical day in a software engineering kind of entails for you at a company that you're with.
Yeah, so there are so many different types of engineers at Principal. An infrastructure engineer like myself, I work behind the developers. So the developers host their applications and I work with the servers to make sure everything's functioning properly. Developers contact me if any servers are throwing errors. So I work specifically with developers, but those developers have a different day-to-day where they work with our operations team who communicates with the business. So my day is a little more customer service oriented.
All right, perfect. And Sureka, kind of a similar question for you. What tasks would a security engineer do for a actually non-traditional tech company like Meredith, where you're at?
Well, yeah, Meredith owns about like 40 plus digital brands, and we have a number of websites that runs all the magazine contents online. So it is more about safeguarding these data that are associated with the brands. And moreover, all the unreleased magazines, the digital contents of the unreleased magazines, we have to safeguard that data as well. And most of our websites have store user informations that might be pretty sensitive. So while it comes to companies like Meredith, it's about reputation of the brands. So we have to safeguard that reputation in like if the website has some sort of defamation that attackers try to do, then it'll have a devastating effect on the reputation of the brand. So we work towards lessening these kind of risks so that users have a very good experience while accessing the site. It's all about the confidence that the users has on the website. So we are working and striving to safeguard that.
Perfect, Sureka. Thank you. And Andy, as a technology development associate, what does a typical day look like for you?
Sure thing. Here at Walmart, I'm part of a 2-year rotational program where for 2 years, you get to try out 4 different tech teams for 6 months long each. And you can do some user experience, some software engineering, infrastructure work. But typically on a day-to-day basis, your work is divided into 3 chunks. The first is administrative, which entails sending emails, receiving emails, writing replies, and going to meetings about different projects. The second is technical. So depending on the team you're on, you might be testing a website to try to break it so you can identify any holes, or coding up a new application to demo in front of business owners. Or you could even interview real customers and hear about the areas of improvement and growth within your own company. And the last chunk that I do is professional development. This is when my company Walmart encourages me to take more classes so that I keep learning new technologies, as well as to read about articles about the industry in general so that I'm up to date of what's happening out there. And in between those 3 chunks of time, I take frequent breaks, lunch breaks, and I procrastinate here and there. So don't worry that people don't always work 100% of the time. You can absolutely take breaks.
Great advice there, Andy. Love that. In the tech industry, especially for the people that are listening into this panel, a lot of the technology jobs can be intimidating and scare off those that may have an interest because they think may not be smart enough or I may not be able to get to the right school. But for some of those, like we'll go with Sareka. Sareka, what actually drove you to wanting to pursue a career as a security engineer? A lot of people may think that that's unattainable, but you're proof that you can be excited about that career and thrive in it.
I think it's about solving new puzzles every day. So even though we have a set of tried and tested principles that we have to follow, the tactics changes every day. So every day you're facing new challenges, and the way you deal with the challenges keeps it more interesting and it doesn't get bored. So I think yes, you need a lot of hard work to get to this position, but once all that is done, I think it gets more and more interesting. And I love the intriguing part where you never know what you're going to face every day. So that is different, and you always have to have a broader set of skills to be in the field of security, because you never know what kind of attack you're going to have each day. Technology keeps changing. The attackers keep updating their knowledge, so you have to keep up in pace. And for example, we have AI attacks in becoming popular right now in the midst of pandemic, so you have to learn something in AI to get an expertise of what might be a kind of attacks in the field of artificial intelligence. So you have to learn that as well. So I think it's the more variety you have in your background, the better security professional you're going to be, for which you have to keep learning and updating yourself every day. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Sareka. That was perfect. Now I want to go back to Andy. Andy, you said some a good comment just about there are breaks and making people understand that it's just like other jobs and you get some time. But adding to that, when you were first looking into the tech field, what were some misconceptions that maybe you had? And then once you started working, which ones kind of changed your mind and made you, maybe more calm?
Mm-hmm. I would learn to demystify the tech world. At the end of the day, it's an industry filled with people of all kinds of backgrounds, and there will be a company that you would love to work for, a mission that really connects to you. I chose to work for Walmart because Walmart wants to make our members healthy and live longer lives, healthier lives, and I wanted to use my technology background as a force for social good, and that those two really paired up really nicely. So for those interested in the tech world, don't think that it's all Silicon Valley with hoodies and stuff, that you have to get a certain GPA or take a certain class or go to a particular university. This tech world is diverse and vast and different, and there will be a spot for you here in Iowa or all over the world. It's not as difficult as it might be, and if there's anyone out there that tells you that you're not good enough for tech, they're wrong and you're right, so keep moving forward.
Fantastic. Good message there. Next on to Jessica. A lot of these high school kids, you're pulled in so many different directions on jobs and maybe parents or teachers telling you, you're really smart at one thing, you should go in this direction. For you, was there another career that maybe you were considering just a few years ago or when you were in high school? And why did you ultimately choose the technology field that you're in?
Yeah, so I've considered so many different careers. I still do consider so many different careers. I think it's important to, explore your interest and consider what is out there. Technology for me just kind of fit. I'm a person that liked mathematics, but also liked English, which was a strange combination. But what I liked most was solving puzzles and working with a team and helping people, and technology is perfect for that. There's so many different things that you could do, but the basis of all engineering is you're solving a puzzle and you're helping people. So technology was the obvious choice for me. There are so many different things that you can do in technology that I felt like if I went in that field, I wouldn't be limited and I wouldn't feel stuck in one career doing the same thing forever. So kind of like Andy said, technology is so vast. There are so many different positions for you. It just, felt like the best path and the most open path and would provide me with the most opportunity moving forward.
Yeah, exactly right. And Andy, for those people out there that maybe all three of you already convinced so many people right now, and I'm going to jump into this tech field. What should they do as far as internships? Andy, what internships were very valuable for your portfolio?
Absolutely. So I had one internship after my sophomore year and one after my junior year. One was with Bank of America Merrill Lynch. They're a big bank out in the East Coast. And one was at Cox Automotive in Michigan, Kansas. They make CRM, which is a software for car dealers. So very different world, banks and car dealers. But the main takeaway from both internships is that you learn to navigate the office workplace. Even though this is before the pandemic, you learn all about soft skills, which are not technical skills, which are how to communicate with your coworkers, how to write short, succinct emails, PowerPoint presentations, or having small talk with your coworkers at the water cooler. Now, this might change after the pandemic, but having those early experience as an intern helps to navigate, okay, how as a recent professional can I survive but also thrive in this office work culture? Because it is very different from high school and college. So getting that experience early on will definitely help you feel comfortable and feel included wherever you are.
Yeah, and sticking with that internship vibe, we have Sareka. What was the most valuable internship for you?
So I was working as an intern back in undergrad. While doing masters, I did a few research, assistantships with a few professors. So those were really interesting because you get to know the real life experience of what you're studying. So in addition to which, I think like more experience would be gained by certifications, maybe if it is security industry. And for high school students, I would suggest going in for an internship, or if students are not getting the opportunity to intern in some company, I would rather go for an entry level certification, which is necessarily a vendor neutral certification. In that way, they can learn the core concepts. So it's all about learning the fundamentals first. And as Andy said, students now feel the pressure of excelling in a specific industry, be it any team, like be it a developer or a security professional. So I think it is highly important for them to be confident on themselves and learn the fundamentals better. In that way, they can excel in whatever field they want to be. So internships, I would say it's not mandatory that students should have it. Not having it, they shouldn't feel, stuck there. They should find some other opportunities to learn more about the field.
Yeah, knowledge is power. The more you know, the more useful you are. Thanks, Sareka. And then Jessica, what internships do you believe were most valuable for your tech career?
Yeah, so I had two internships. One started very early. I happened to have a connection when I went into college that worked as a web developer for my college's marketing department. So I had no experience going into college. It was, I was brand new, but it was good because it was a student job. And so I had a lot of mentors and a lot of people kind of guiding me along the way while I worked that position. And that kind of worked for me like a project. They tell you a lot of the times that you need some kind of project experience to kind of showcase your skills if you're not doing an internship. That's how it kind of felt for me. That helped me get an internship at Principal, which was the only professional internship that I had. So right before my senior year, I interned at Principal. Obviously, that was very helpful because it helped me get a full-time job at the company. But it was useful because I got to know the people that I would be working with and they got to know me. My internship was like an interview, a 3-month-long interview with the company. And so I got to understand the company and the kind of positions that they had available and the kind of movement that they had available and professional experience. And so working the internship for the company that you're interested in working for can be very beneficial. It's a great idea if while you're in college, you kind of have an idea of where you want to work afterwards.
Excellent. So we all talked about the internships that were valuable and how they can help you find your career. Let's talk about those careers in general. Sareka, what was the interview process like getting the job at Meredith?
Well, for me, it was a phone interview first with my technical manager, where she got to know about myself and she got an initial sense of my experience and accomplishments, followed by one-on-one interviews with other parts of security team. So I had one-on-one interview with 3 to 4 directors of other parts of security team and my team itself. So I would say it was a long process, but still I was clearly outlined what they were looking for. And so I got a better sense of the role and the working environment. So after all these rounds, I had the opportunity to meet with the CISO of Meredith, who's the Chief Information Security Officer. So he spoke about what they're expecting and how the work life would be, how the future would be for this role. And so in the entire interview process, I was asked only scenario-based questions where you have to apply what you've learned and answer those questions. So it was real-time experienced questions instead of a Q&A which has just one answer. So it's more of different possibilities, and you don't have a specific answer to those questions. So it's about how you think and how you act given a situation. So it was really interesting, and it instilled confidence in me about the position. So that made me choose Meredith. It was really encouraging and interesting.
And Andy, at Wellmark, for you, what was that interview process like?
Sure thing, Justin. So at Walmart, it's 3 steps for me. First step, you have to send in your application, which includes your resume, which is a summary of your past experiences and your education. The second step is a one-on-one phone conversation with a recruiter for 30 minutes, which gives you an opportunity to learn more about the role, about the company, its mission, as well as for you to introduce yourself to the company and what you're looking for in a career. And the last step is you may be invited for an on-site interview, which is you go to the headquarters in Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa, and you have several different interviews with senior managers, directors, even vice presidents, and it's a chance for you to learn more about the role. And at Walmart, we'll also give you a tour and a little more about the building. But in this past year, we did all this virtually. But hopefully, when you apply, when you're a senior in college or different paths in your career, hopefully you can do it in person as well.
Oh, perfect. And then Jessica, principal, how about you for the interview process when you first got on board?
Yeah, so I'll talk about my internship interview experience. So like most, the first conversation was with a technical recruiter. It was just a conversation about what I was interested in, what principal was kind of looking for. From there, she matched me with 2 different departments based on my interests. So one was software engineering based on the skills I had, and one was data engineering based on what I was interested in doing. And then again, those were just conversations with the teams that were looking for interns. We discussed my past experience. We discussed what I was interested in doing. And I was really trying to put off the impression that I was just looking for a company that would help me learn and help me grow as a tech professional. So talking about my internship experience interviewing, because like I mentioned before, my internship was my formal interview for my full-time position. So I interned for 3 months. I spoke to people in the department. I made presentations. I showed my work ethic. And then I didn't have to interview for a full-time position. I was offered a full-time position at the end of my internship. So that was the great thing about Principal, was that there was no second round of interviews. I had already proven my skills based on my work, and then they offered me full-time after that.
Fantastic. Now, a lot of people here may be wondering, there's a big conversation about student debt in college and how to repay that and trying to find a job. where you're not just, underwater trying to repay student loans. In the tech career, there's all these jobs and all these opportunity. Let's talk about how excited maybe some of you are just about some of the starting salary. So Sareka, how do you feel about the industry's starting salary for those looking for jobs and worried about student debt?
I would say it's really good because for a security professional, they are expecting a broader set of skills, and the demand for security professionals are increasing day by day. And we are in the midst of pandemic, which means we have seen an cyber security attacks, which means that there is more room for, especially young professionals who can think fresh and have some innovative ideas. So once you are in the field, I think it's going to pay you really good because of the ongoing demand and uplift in the number of opening jobs in cybersecurity.
Yeah, and Jessica, a similar question for you as well. I mean, you said that you were at the University of Iowa, so obviously going through college there and then entering in the workforce. How do you feel about the industry's beginning salaries?
The great thing about the tech industry is you start at a higher salary than a lot of your peers at university. It's kind of just one of the perks of working hard. So as far as, student debt, it's definitely manageable. What I would say is take high school seriously and do really well so you don't come out with so much debt. But certainly coming into the tech industry, it's a lot more manageable because especially depending on where you are and what size company you're working for, the amount of money you're making can actually be surprising how much starting right out of college.
Always great when you can have a career starting out of college that pays you comfortably. So it's very important for them to know that the tech industry can do that. Andy, what would you say is the most exciting part of your job?
The most exciting part of a job is I get to bring my experience and background to work every single day, and I can bring my full self, not just part of me. And I guess my advice to all the Iowans watching right now is that you might not think tech is the right fit, or you might think that you're not good enough for tech, which is false. What's unique about you and your generation is that you were born and grew up in the 21st century. So you have this innate talent in you that you can just understand tech much better than your parents or your grandparents' generation. So already at age 17 or 18, you have so much to offer to a technology company. So you might feel a little bit like you don't have the confidence, you don't have the skill set, but don't worry about that now. You have plenty of time. Take this summer off, and then this fall you might start thinking about college or internships. You got plenty of time. But at the end of the day, just know that you have something within you that's unique to your generation that previous generations don't have. So every company will be lucky to have you in their workforce.
Yeah, certainly great words of inspiration there. And I have a question for all of you, and we'll start with Jessica. What's your advice, to Iowa high school seniors, right now that may be interested in the tech industry?
Yeah, like I mentioned, take high school seriously. I know senior year, you're winding down and you're getting ready to, leave this grade school era and go into college, but take it seriously. The experiences that you have in high school really do propel you going into college, whether it's involving yourself in activities or, just simply doing your best in classes and preparing for tests. So take it seriously and do the work, but, also explore your interests. College can be overwhelming, and going into the tech industry and figuring out what you want to do can be overwhelming. So explore your interests now and kind of evaluate what you like to do and what you might like in a career. And then within the tech industry, look at all ranges of jobs that they have available. There are so many available for everyone, even if you don't want to sit down and code all day, or if your interests are purely playing video games after school, there are jobs for that in the tech industry. So get to know yourself now, and it'll make life a lot easier moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. And Sareka, kind of along the same lines for you, what's your advice to Iowa high school students looking to get in the tech industry like yourself?
I think like students need to understand that it's never too late to start, and it's never too late to start learning new things. So even we, I think Jessica and Andy would agree to me that even we learn new things day in and day out. So no matter like what career path you're aiming for, it's always good to learn new things, understand the basic concepts, which I think is more relevant to high school students because they have all the basic concepts and basic technologies that they're studying today, which we may find new to ourselves. So it's always the students should be willing to adapt to change and should be willing to always be learning and try to be innovative in the way you learn. So nowadays, I think podcasts are becoming popular in explaining about the new technologies or opportunities that are out in the tech world. So it's always important to update yourselves and keep learning. I think that is the main advice I would give to the students.
Yeah, and Andy, back to you. Words of wisdom, some advice that you would give to these high school students that are wondering what their future holds in the technology industry.
Sure thing, Justin. First, if you're a high school senior right now, take the summer off. I am contradicting myself, but yes, this is an industry where if you start early, it will pay off. Like taking free online classes, getting the certifications, those will set you apart from the rest of the pack. However, I know that probably going to high school these past year and a half has been really difficult due to the pandemic, all virtual. So you probably have to postpone a lot of plans you have for yourself. But take this summer off to do those things and come back refreshed and ready to go this fall. That said, the other piece of advice is that right now you have a chance to be a technologist with your phone. Think about the most popular apps that you use, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok. What makes you use it? And think about the ways that you would improve those apps. What could you do differently? Any new feature ideas you have? How would you design it differently? Think about ways that you could improve the apps you interact with every single day. By doing those things, you're already thinking like a technology professional, right? You don't have to have a certain certification to think like one. So I would encourage you to demystify the tech world and be welcome into this industry. They'll welcome you with open arms. Don't be afraid. At the end of the day, it's an industry with a lot of different people, all kinds of backgrounds. You will have a spot here. You belong here. And I'll see you soon in a couple of years.
Yeah, fantastic words of advice. I hope that everyone takes them to heart. And like you all have said, you have time. Take school seriously. Tech world, it seems to be new every single day. So the old 9 to 5 monotony, of Groundhog Day and each day being the same. In the tech world, it seems like it's never that. And there's so much opportunity. I guess real quick, I mean, we don't have too much time, but I wanted to throw something out there listening to you all. I feel like there may be a myth in technology. You're just sitting there by some kind of computer programming device by yourself, and the AI has taken over everything, and there's not a lot of coworkers. There's still, communication with other people, and if you're a talker, don't be afraid of the tech industry because you're working with people face to face still. Is that correct?
Absolutely. You will absolutely have coworkers. And learning to work with coworkers is so important. No matter how smart you are, no matter how talented you are, if you cannot be a good coworker to your fellow coworkers, if you're not respectful, if you're not professional, then you're gonna have a difficult time in this industry. So you gotta be respectful, kind, inclusive. That's so much important than knowing 10 different coding languages and 100 different frameworks. Like those don't matter at the end of the day. Like, are you a good person? That's really important.
All right. Well, panel, you all were fantastic. It's awesome to see the tech industry being led by such strong and young minds as all three of you, and all in the state of Iowa. For all of you out there, the tech is here, and you can stay home after you graduate and make it happen right here in the state. So I'm going to turn it over to Cassandra. Thank you so much again for having me, and thank you, panelists, for being a part of this.
Thank you, Justin, and our Iowa Tech panelists for your insight into the Iowa Tech industry. Next up, we'll explore the Facebook Engineer for the Week program with 2 student presentations moderated by Tyler Mason, Program Manager at Pi 515. Tyler, I'll turn it over to you.
Hello, thanks, Cass. Thank you, everyone. Like Cass mentioned, my name is Tyler Mason, and I'm the Program Manager for Pi 515. Pi 515, if you've not heard of it or not familiar with it, it's a nonprofit specializing in STEM programming and building technology skills for students in the area. Today, we'll highlight 2 students, Josh and Vivian, who've completed a project for the Congressional App Challenge in the state of Iowa in 2020. They're here to describe their chatbot and the platform used to create it called ChatFuel. ChatFuel is also an integral part of a curriculum developed by Facebook called Engineer for the Week, or EFTW. Pi 515 is working with Facebook to introduce EFTW to area schools. As mentioned, EFTW is a curriculum that Facebook is introducing to middle and high school students, and Pi 515 is helping to facilitate this by connecting and supporting Iowa schools in their pursuit of this engineering curriculum. Stated here is the vision of the program. Facebook and Pi 515 kind of has shared interests and a shared vision in helping to introduce students to these engineering concepts and tech skills and exposing them to careers in these areas. And that's why it's so beneficial that we're working together on this project. There are 2 focus areas for Engineer for the Week. 2 curriculums that Facebook has built and 2 facilitator guides that kind of walk facilitators, the teachers in the classrooms, and students through the program step by step. So one is a block coding program in Scratch, and then the other is an AI chatbot for change, which we'll talk a little bit about later. Play for Impact, the first one I'll describe, is a block coding platform with drag and drop functionality developed by MIT. It introduces students to coding and the thought process behind it in a fun and engaging way. And it kind of like helps students stay interested because they're building just a fun web-based game. Chatbots for Change is a curriculum that guides students in building an AI chatbot tied to a Facebook page. The chatbot answers questions, and kind of walks the user down a path and is guided by the user's input as to what they would like to learn about. And it takes user content and follows along that conversation and acts almost in a human way so that it's kind of like more fun and interesting for the user to interact with. Both programs, like I mentioned earlier, include thorough guides for students and facilitators. Overall, each area calls for about 25 hours of instruction time over the course of a 2-month sprint period. And facilitators can customize the structure of the sprint to fit their and their students' needs and their class time. In addition to exposing students to the engineering subject matter, this curriculum aims to address social issues by tying instruction to a meaningful global issue, as determined by the students with support and guidance from facilitators. So a lot of the times we'll see projects done by students that have a huge social impact or are relevant in this day and age. For instance, one of the projects that was done recently was a Scratch-based game that addressed, COVID-19 pandemic issues. Really topical, really important world global issue. Included in the program are connections to professionals at Facebook and an impact award for the top projects. This meeting with Facebook professionals is one of the more impactful ways that the program provides for exposure to tech careers. Having an interaction with a professional who's working at Facebook, someone that can kind of talk students through, just like our previous young professionals did, is a great way to expose them to opportunities further ahead in their lives. Submitted projects have a chance to earn $1,000 for a nonprofit of their choice as well. Scoring for these awards is centered around the chosen social purpose and need, user experience, and the content of the project. If this is something that you might be interested in introducing at your school, you can sign up as a facilitator. The last sign up was in mid-April, and the sprint is going through May. So you don't have time to sign up for the spring session, but they do plan on doing a fall session to be announced rather shortly. Links for more information will be on the TII website, so you can follow up on those a little bit later. Now I'll give the platform to two of your peers, Vivian and Josh, to describe their project and the Chat Fuel platform. Vivian and Josh, would you mind saying hello and introducing yourself?
Hello, my name is Vivian Lai. I'm having the most latest and chaotic senior year at Hoover High School than I thought I would have. I enjoy doing arts and craft like crocheting and drawing. Yeah, I really enjoy making things, which is why I'm planning to become a programmer in the future.
Hi, I'm Josh Schilling, and I'm also a senior at Hoover High School. Vivian and I have known each other for a while. I enjoy baking and spending time outside, camping and such, and I'm planning on majoring in either engineering or computer science in college, maybe Georgia Tech or Iowa State. Now we'll get started and show a video of our chatbot. Chatbots all make communication with humans through messaging applications and are standard on main company websites these days. They've also certainly saved people from listening to elevator music on the phone and waiting hours to talk to a human. As a cheaper alternative to traditional customer service, the goal is to make it easier to find answers and get help, and also to make conversing with the bot feel like conversing with a human. We tried to mirror these concepts in the creation of our bot, both in the bot's purpose and execution.
Now on to introducing our chatbot. If you open Facebook and search for advocacy and education, namely my name, you'll find our chatbot by clicking on send message. I 100% think everyone should go and try out the chatbot to follow along with my presentation. We created our chatbot to educate people about issues in an easy way with an option to learn more about each topic through links to relevant articles and trusted website. We also introduced users to different organizations involved in that issue. Click Get Started. This signals the chatbot to start interacting with the user. We designed the chatbot to ask for username as a way to make the conversation feel more human and personal. We add built-in option for the user to select and choose their own path to follow in the conversation based on what they might be most interested in or curious about. As the user interacts with the bot, they are given prompts and buttons for links to respective resources on the topic. It shows two areas that are very important to us. Let's learn a bit about LGBTQ issues. Clicking on the LGBTQ button will have the chatbot send out the corresponding text to introduce the issue and guide the user through the process. Let's look at how to get involved. What can I do to help the LGBTQ community? Tons of stuff. Here are a few. Everyday Allyship Organization and Student School GSA. Let's look at Everyday Allyship. This outlines a simple way for everyone to support the community, like using gender-neutral language, advocating, or volunteering. Let's look far into how one could advocate or volunteer. As you can see, this is another long text box with options to sign up for an email list and get information, donate, or volunteer for events. You can click below to see some of the organizations involved. Clicking the organization name takes you to their website to learn more. There are many different LGBTQ organizations, but there is a limit of 3 buttons per message. So we include others and more organizations. And more organizations. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, now that we've seen how the chatbot is used, we can show you behind the scenes and how the chatbot is built using ChatFuel. ChatFuel bots power over 1 billion conversations every month, used by businesses like Netflix, Visa, and BuzzFeed. ChatFuel is a no-code chatbot automation platform for Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger. Basically, it means you can build a social chatbot without writing any code. I'll open my account to bring up the chatbots I've created. Here's our chatbot 50310 that Vivian just demonstrated. I'll be using the Automation tab to give you a behind-the-scenes view of what it looks like to design the bot. In the Blocks tab, you can set up the welcome message that the bot will give the user as they click Get Started. Just after, we designed the bot to ask for the user's name as a way to make it feel more personal. Now, I'll move to the Flows tab, where you can see all of the messages and buttons you have created. From the first welcome message, you will have a branch for each initial option. Above, I have the blocks tied to the environmental option, and below, I have the blocks tied to the LGBTQ option, which Vivian followed. We'll try to follow her path. So, going through the LGBTQ section, first up, we have this option where Vivian clicked How to Get Involved, which will bring us down all the way down to this message, from which she clicked Everyday Allyship, this top one, leading us to this message, where she then clicked Advocate and Volunteer, this middle option, and then Organizations, our only option, finally bringing us to this chain of messages, which ends your path. As you can see, you can get to this block from two different pathways. There was the one we just followed, and there was an earlier option that would have brought the user to this organization block. See, we could have clicked Organization here and brought us to this block. Okay. So, as you can see, we have all of our organizations here, but what if we want to add another organization? Our first step would be to add another button onto our final message. You can do that super easily just by writing something in here that you want the user to click on. Once that button is created, you can link it up to any block. We'll create a block here just by using this menu on the side. We just need text and buttons, so that's the one we'll click, and then we can simply connect it to our previous one by pulling a path out of this option. Let's say we wanted to add another resource, in which case we would just click Add a button, do the same thing we did on the previous one, such as History of LGBTQIA. You have a character limit of 20, so sometimes you might want to do a little bit more, but that's okay. You have to shorten a little bit. So let's say we want to link this website. We would just copy the link to it, and then we can post it in here, and we have a fully set up button that if Vivian went back through, you could just click on that and it would take you to this website. Okay, whatever you want to put in here, you can also add a main text. This is this block here. So for example, here we described what One Iowa was and what resources Planned Parenthood offered. So you could say something about, oh, learn more about history. One element that we decided to include that makes the experience feel a bit more human-like is adding a typing animation. This means that when the user, for example, clicks this block, it'll take a few seconds to load this next block. Just the same way it would take a few seconds if you were texting someone in person, in real life. So we can set it to maybe like 5 seconds. So that's been a quick intro to our bot. Whoopsie. That's been a little lesson about how we use ChatFuel, and there are many other tools you can explore. For example, this menu on the side, tons and tons of options that you can explore on your own after this. You can make something as complex or as simple as you like with no coding experience required. You could make a trivia game, a restaurant ordering system, and endless other possibilities.
So thank you so much, Josh and Vivian, for walking us through that project that you did for Iowa's Congressional App Challenge in 2020. I think that was really informative. I know you guys have actually taught me a lot about ChatFuel and chatbots in general. And it was very informative learning about all the LGBTQ issues and environmental issues through your chatbot. So I really appreciate it. And I would encourage people to navigate to that Facebook page and their website that they built. Just to look into that a little bit more and click through it yourself and learn about these issues in your own time. Right now, we'll do a little bit of a Q&A with Vivian and Josh just to get a little bit more personal and get a little bit of an idea about how they decided on these projects, what their thought process was, what the experience was like using ChatFuel, and what the experience was like building this bot for their Facebook page. So first question I want to ask is, how did you guys decide on the topics of environmental issues and LGBTQ issues?
Well, from learning about ChatFuel to completing our project and submitting to the Congressional App Challenge, it was like only a week. And when we decided that we want to make a chatbot about talking about issues, the two issues that pop up right on top of our minds were LGBTQ and climate issues. They were just stood out from any of the other issues that we consider.
I think personal interest for me has always been sort of blending this like STEM and technical and all of this side with more like human side, and so that's sort of we wanted to arrive at something that was a submission for this technical challenge, but also had like an actual impact. And Tyler sort of talked about that a little bit earlier with the mission of the EFTW program. But in terms of why we chose those two, yeah, I think like V was saying with being at the top of our mind, but also we want to sort of look at society right now and the moment that we're in and take advantage of how people are feeling. I think people see a lot of like issues in the news and stuff of, oh, people are being mistreated or there are issues and there are things that you should be doing to help. And we want to make the travel from the point where you see something and you say, I want to help with that, to the point of actually helping. We want to make that travel a little bit easier and a little bit more accessible. And so with this, we're hoping to make it so that people could just use this and check out some more resources, and just make these things more accessible for people to look at and actually get involved in, especially older people that might not have knowledge about these issues, especially like the LGBT community. There are so many different terms thrown around. I mean, lots of people don't even know what the acronym stands for. Older people don't know what the acronym stands for. So it's those simple things of you want to do something, but you don't know where to start. So we want to provide something that helps show you where to start.
That's great. Thank you, guys. I have another question. How was it learning ChatFuel? Like, was it difficult or was it really, really simple? Did you feel like you had a mastery of the platform stepping in and opening it for the first time? Or how did you feel about using it?
I think that ChatFuel was very easy to learn and use. It was similar to other block-based coding that I have done before, so it was very easy to get the hang of. The only thing that I found difficult was the new texting format that I need to get used to, like writing in the questions and text messages so that it could flow easy in a logical way, but not also sound awkward.
Definitely. And we've touched on the fact that it's like meant to be built to replicate, like you're talking to a customer service professional or someone that is an expert in the field for LGBTQ or environmental issues. So yeah, definitely want to try to make it as human as possible. And they have the functionality to do that, which is really nice. Did you spend a lot of time like watching tutorials or like videos catered to learning the Chatfuel platform?
We spent a little bit of time. There's a YouTube channel that Chatfuel has, and you can access like some demos from their website once you create an account. They have easy links to different like examples on how to use things and videos that walk you through. But I think I watched probably like 15 minutes of demonstration videos. It really wasn't too hard. I think a lot of when you do coding things, it's just sort of diving in and doing it for yourself and figuring out how it works. And for this, that was really easy to do.
Sure, and it's like you mentioned with the YouTube videos, and it's kind of a beautiful age that we live in this open source platform where kind of learning is up to the person in question. Do you consider yourself, like after you've used this, AI, chatbot, AI to me is kind of almost like a scary word. Do you feel like you had to be a professional in the tech industry or like really have a great background of AI or tech or computer science background to be able to do this type of thing?
Well, I wouldn't consider myself an expert or professional in anything, not to mention tech. But I do have some past experience in coding, so getting to use to the new platform would have been easier for me than like beginners. But I think like that like Chatfuel is like pretty easy on its own, so anybody could really learn and use it really quickly.
Definitely. What would you say? Did you have any takeaways? Did you gain anything from the experience? Is there a couple things that you learned from using Chatfuel and creating this chatbot?
Well, it was our first time remote working since we did it during October. It was like in a week, so most of our working was remote, and that was the first time we worked remotely. And I think that Chatfuel was a very good platform to work like not next to someone in person. So yeah, that's a new experience. It was also our first experience making a chatbot together, and it's also our first experience actually completing a project and being happy to submit it, even though it's like a week. And previous year when we submitted a project for a Congressional Apps Challenge, we spent like the whole year working on it. You can see from that, because previous year we also were learning about a new platform and stuff like that, and they were a lot more complicated than Chatfuel.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the time stuff. We spend a bit more time on it, but this time it was a little bit spur of the moment. But I think we learned the same thing we learn every year is that once you actually dive into a platform and start like doing stuff, there's always like so much to explore and so many possibilities. So I think given more time or just in the future, there's always more things you can do with the platform. I think also just with chatbots in general, it's for ours, it wasn't really AI because it was sort of us programming everything out. So it wasn't sort of like that scary big brother kind of concept, but we were just writing things down and then those would be given to the person. And so when you're like writing something, like if you're writing a paper, then you write in a different way, like longer sentences or just writing more than if you're just like writing short, sort of digestible like messages to someone that they're getting from a chatbot. So it's definitely like experiential of what works, and then going between like the coder side and the actual user side, what's it like on both sides, and putting yourself in different shoes is always important.
Definitely, thank you. Would you recommend the project? Do you think there is adaptability or use for this type of tool for a widespread audience?
Absolutely. It's very easy to learn, easy to use, easy to show it to someone else.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, you saw what we used it for with just giving people informations and links to resources. But even in like one of the tutorials I watched from them, they were like creating a ordering system for like a popcorn business. Like if you wanted to order different kinds of popcorn online and then delivery and stuff. I did a big like bake sale kind of thing this spring, this fall, and I could see it also being like applicable for that. So it's very much customizable to you, however you want to use it, and however, whatever level of experience that you're coming from to build it, it's also useful.
Yeah, I think you guys were obviously you've mentioned your limited time frame that you had to work on this project, and you've created something I think which is great. And just you were talking about you had a week to do it, so it's pretty amazing what you did with that week. I got to applaud you. But coming to mind is something that's close to me too. Working with kind of refugees in previous jobs. Many of the times that they weren't really understanding a lot of the cultural norms that we had in the U.S. coming from a different country, you know, how cultures change around the world. So I could see that being very applicable to, you know, answering some of the questions that they might have in their first couple weeks or months or years even in the U.S. and in Des Moines. So just a lot of applicability, I think, for chatbots, and feel free to look up ChatFuel and create a Facebook page and start to do these things on your own. You'll see kind of how simple it is to just kind of click around, and if you're curious and you're interested in the functionality of the platform, it's pretty fun and easy to learn. So with that, we'll just do a little bit of an outro. Thank you so much for your time, Vivian and Josh, in working on this project with me and explaining your chatbot and the ChatFuel platform. Like we mentioned earlier, you can sign up for Engineer for the Week and get hands-on experience with ChatFuel and building a chatbot. Or if you'd like, you can build the web-based game in the MIT Scratch platform. These links, like I mentioned earlier, will be provided by Cass on the TAI website. So if you'd like to sign up for the upcoming sprint in the fall, or if you'd just like to look up more information, you can follow this link to find the Engineer for the Week site and watch previous webinars to get a better understanding of the programs from Facebook professionals themselves. Also, I'll include Pi 515, the organization that I work for right here in Des Moines. Our information will also be included on the TII website. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can feel free to do that. Like was mentioned, my name is Tyler Mason. I'm the program manager there. Feel free to call or email, whatever you would like to do. You can click on our site and learn a little bit more about our programming, all the things that we're doing with middle and high schoolers in the area. And if you'd like to donate or volunteer, that's always welcome as well. Again, thank you for your time and the opportunity to speak with you today. Cass will take it from here and guide you through the next agenda items. So take care and all the best.
Thank you again to Facebook and Pi 515 for providing meaningful information about the Engineer for the Week program. And thank you again to our presenting sponsor, Principal Financial Group, as well as Workiva, Facebook, Bow and Arrow Communications, Google, Shazam, Carrier Access, and Okta for supporting the Iowa High School Tech Summit as an invaluable resource to students. Want to learn more about the Iowa tech industry and leading innovation? Be sure to register for the free virtual Iowa Technology Summit presented by Walmart Blue Cross and Blue Shield on May 24th and 25th. This wraps up the 2021 Iowa High School Tech Summit presented by Principal. Thanks again for joining us.
This concludes the 2021 Iowa High School Tech Summit presented by Principal. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.